I'm Tracey, and this is my tiny home, Romeo, and we are in Bayfield, Colorado at MarLin Village. I'm from Illinois. I call it the suburbs of Chicago, Northwest. Grew up surrounded by cornfields, so like the small town feel. Moved out to Colorado in 2008, out to Gunnison, Colorado, which coming from Illinois was quite a culture shock. I had no idea, but I loved it right off the bat, even being 40 below zero. So in my career, I started out in higher education, doing public relations, and I lost my job. I was laid off. And to be quite honest, I never thought in higher education that was even a thing. I had no idea. So that was pretty devastating. And so naturally I moved back home, but by then my parents had moved to Bayfield and they had a studio apartment on their garage. So that was good for me. So I felt still independent, great place to land, so lucky I was able to do that. And then I got recruited by Nestle Purina to work for Zook's Dog Treats, which that was like the best job, best time of my life. And then guess what? I got laid off. Twice in 5 years, I got laid off. That one was hard. I mean, both of them were hard because both of them were my dream jobs. So talk about starting over. So I start over again. But that's when I did the Durango Tango. As people who try to stay in this area, you work like 20 jobs. Eventually I did move out of my parents' studio apartment and moved in with my then partner. So that was past 10 years. And so I moved out last year and back into that studio apartment. So I went full circle until July I bought my tiny home. So now I'm starting over chapter, I think this is 4 or 5. I've been living in my tiny home for 1 month and it is 8 by 30. Have it parked at MarLin Village and it's $6.50 a month. That includes water, sewer, trash, and maintenance and all this beautiful community space that is all around us. So to get started, I'll take you over to my outdoor area. This is my happy place. I love this area. Just a little bistro set. This is just a perfect spot for hanging out outside. And again, all my flowers I just adore. Some of them I grew from seed, some of them are from starts. And then what's also cool is my space extends down here. So I have this whole space down here as well. So I have a little lounger down there and I'll eventually add on. So this is what we have for outside. Let's go inside. We gotta walk on the walkway. Because I'm a big dork. Hi, welcome to Romeo. It's 260 square feet, not including the lofts. The layout of the space is what really drew me to it. What was most important for me was having like a living room area space, and the 2 lofts are amazing because I have extra room for storage. So right behind me, we'll start in the living room. And obviously small, meager space, but it works. One of the challenges right off the bat was finding furniture. So I just got this love seat and it's perfect, it fits. I'm also looking at getting a media console, so this will be a little bit tidier. Likely to mount the TV just to, again, give more space, but it's a work in progress. The living room space is just as a gathering area, so to speak, even though it's not like I'm going to have a lot of people, but it just feels like home, you know, like you have to have a little cozy spot. So my mom gifted this to me. I grew up with this table. She actually bought it before I was born. She refinished it herself. And so moving on from the living room, we go into the kitchen. So it's cool because it has a regular size oven that's also a convection oven. It has all these fancy things that I do not yet know how to use. I'm very excited. I lived in a small apartment that had a really small old oven. And so it's nice to have like something nicer that is still affordable. And then again, the microwave is nice. And I think the microwave and the oven are each can also be convection, which I really don't know what that means, but people say it's better or easier for cooking. I have a lot to learn. And then the induction cooktop. And what's cool is it gets warm fast and cooks faster. So this is an example of stuff I've had in storage forever. Like these were literally in storage for 20 years. It's my grandmother's silver. You know, something like this, it needs to be out. It's beautiful. And then obviously very simple kitchen. I had never had like this wood countertop. So that's a challenge for me because it is softer and I've already scratched it and dented it. But I'm learning how to repair and polish and, you know, learning how to maintain the different features of my tiny home, which is great because it came with a binder that has all the stuff in there to tell me what to do. And then the drawers are the soft close, which I think is cool. The little things that make me happy. And then just your basic cabinet space, very messy in there. I don't know if you want to look in there quite yet. Things might fall out, but work in progress. I'm working on getting like cubbies and like shelves to maximize the space, but I'm getting there, I'm learning. And then I do love this sink. So I have to say the sink is one of the pieces that sold me. Who likes having a small sink? You get this like tiny sink. So it's like a normal, gorgeous, big sink and it's great. So I don't have a dishwasher, but I don't mind washing dishes when I have a big sink and a beautiful view. And usually there's horses out there. I also love that I have this for my plants. So this was a big deal to me too. And then right above us, we have the skylight, which is amazing. Just opening it lets in a lot of cool air and also brings in a lot of light. And you open it with the pole, which is not very tiny home friendly, all things considered, because I hit a lot of things with it, but it's handy for opening that. Using this has been a learning process, but I do like my skylight. I have a 2-in-1 washer dryer combo. Never had one of these before. It is awesome. It works great. I don't know how the whole water thing and the dryer thing and doesn't blow up, but it's so convenient. Here's a tiny home hack. So one of the things I do is I throw my dirty clothes like right in there after I change. And then once it's a little bit full, I just turn it on and it goes. So it's kind of convenient. And I also have all these built-in cubbies, which I'm still figuring out where I'm going to put things, and I'm experimenting with different bins and different sizes. And moving on into the bathroom, I guess one of the misconceptions is people think these have like RV toilets, but I have a regular home toilet. Mine isn't composting, it's not incinerating, it's a toilet. But yeah, people were picturing like that I would have a tiny toilet, but it's a normal toilet. Sorry to disappoint. And then there is space behind that I'm going to eventually figure out how to utilize. Quite haven't figured out yet, but another blank canvas. And then really lovely counter space here. Obviously I use it for my cat's eating area because I don't need all the space. But again, planning to do some kind of shelving here or towel racks or something. Haven't quite gotten there. And then on this side is a shower, just a standing shower, but it does have 2 shower heads, so like one that's handheld and one regular, so that's kind of cool. You know, losing my relationship was hard, but also part of it, that loss was losing an affordable housing. So my ex and I were lucky, we, so to speak, we had bought a brand new house in Bayfield, thanks in part to the low interest COVID rates. So we had a brand new 3-bedroom, 2-bath home on about a half acre. Right in town, it's actually a mile away from here. But it had a real feeling. It was, quite frankly, like my dream. And because it was the 2 of us and we had a very low interest rate, and that severance pay from Zooks came into play, so I was able to have a down payment, and my parents also did help. Our mortgage, which included like escrow and stuff, was only $1,400. I mean, for our area, that's unheard of. And so it was really hard to like I said, losing the relationship, but also losing that. Like I didn't know where was I going to go. I thought about going back to Illinois, but I mean, quite frankly, I love this area. This area is just amazing. So I kept scrambling. I was, trying to think of like, how would I make this work in this area? My dad had sent me an email with a link to MarLin Village. He's like, hey, check this out. The whole thing just seemed so like silly and novelty to me. Like, no, are you ridiculous? I have so much stuff. There's no way I could live in a small space like that. But then as it started dawning on me, like, wait a second. This is a small space that I can maintain on my own. It's relatively affordable in terms of, so an average house price in our area, affordable home is $400,000. So I did qualify for a affordable home housing. I went through a program called Homes Fund, which is a really cool program, and they do tiny home lending. And they were trying to convince me that as long as I didn't have any debt, that my mortgage would be $2,000 a month, and I could afford $400,000 home, which is like a full house with 3 bedrooms, 2 baths. And I'm like, I don't need that space. I don't want to spend $2,000 a month on housing costs. I wasn't comfortable with that. And they're like, you can have a roommate. And I'm like, no, I don't want a roommate. And then I was thinking too, if I had this big house to maintain, like raking the roof, shoveling, I mean, just like in the winter, there's all the stuff that goes along with it. Even if it was a new house, it would be just a lot of work for me. And then also, like, anything that I could afford were fixer-uppers. So when we first came in January, it was just empty. They're still working on it. But the space was beautiful. I mean, I teared up a little bit just because of the view. And I mean, that to me is so important. And I think that was one of the things I was giving up from my old place, was I had just a lovely area that was peaceful. And so this kind of brought back that same feeling of serenity. Everything felt right. It was kind of scary because it felt too right. So then you wonder, like, what's the catch? So, and in the back of the house is what I call the way back room. And it's really my office slash closet wardrobe space. Now, this is the other thing that really sold me on the house, was the fact that it had this extra room, because it makes it feel more, again, like a house, and it's separate. And especially for my home office, like, I didn't want my computer in my living room because then it reminds me of work all the time. So it's nice that I can have my home office out of the way in its own space. And then this is a temporary closet solution. And I do have something coming that has shelving and it's open, just kind of open up the room, because one other thing I've learned is anything boxy makes it feel boxier. Again, the space is still very much a work in progress. I'm still shuffling things around and getting settled in, but this is the start of my tiny home transition. And it is nice having my own space, just the openness of everything. Like the size of this window, it just makes everything feel very light. The other great thing about this window and that window is you get a great cross breeze too, so it stays really comfortable and cool in here. Another neat feature about this room, it has its own heater. They weren't sure if the mini split warmth would come out here, so they had a separate heater in here. And now let's check out upstairs. So now we're at the stairs to the 2 lofts, and we have some storage built in under the entryway bench, which is handy, another work in progress. And up the stairs is the primary loft where my bed is. Got to get a bed in a box. That was the only way. I don't know how, if I ever move or need a new bed, how I'm going to get it out. And then up the ladder is the storage area. It's nice actually having the extra loft for that. And eventually my goal too is to be able to put a guest bed up there as well, so people can come visit. This was super important. I don't know how people do tiny homes without railings. One thing too that I do like about this space up here is, so they have the built-in shelf, which, look, it's actually tidy. Ha! And then they also have cubbies, which is really cool. So I have like linens and stuff in there. And bed in a box worked out really well. It is an adjustment, as you can see, like not being able to stand up and, you know, hitting my head. But I don't know, I like it. Again, it's cozy. I sleep really well up here. And I do feel like it's my own little like cozy cocoon area. But I think it's just a really nice space, and it's quieter up here. And also from, I don't know if you can tell, well, if you're over here, but there's also a lovely view from the window. So I enjoy that a lot. So I can see like the mountains over there. I bought the Tumbleweed unit from Mark and Linda. They had it on their property already, so it was pretty convenient too, because the purchase price included, like, they did the skirting, they added the deck, so I didn't have to worry about any of that. Everything felt right, and I kept thinking though, there's gotta be a catch. so far there is no catch. They are just amazing people. I feel like I'm already part of their family, which is weird to say, but they've treated me like family. And I've seen how they are, of course, with the other residents here, that they're just friendly, amazing people. So again, that just sets the tone for how our community will be. So the final cost was $117,500. Loan payment and my lot rent is $1,200, and that's how much you pay for a studio apartment in Durango or like a 1-bedroom. But here I don't have to share walls. I have my own space. I own this, and I don't plan to move. But like, say I wanted to or whatever, like I could technically take it with me. So you know, just the idea like I own this and I could do whatever I want. Also, I have my pets, so now I have a dog and a cat. You know, just those freedoms that come with being a homeowner instead of renting. Like, what did I say? Chapter 5 of my life, starting over. Every place I've lived, even since moving from Illinois in 2008, every place I've lived has felt temporary. I never fully settled in. Not even in my old house, I didn't fully move in. Things were still in boxes. I had stuff in storage for over 15 years. I finally donated a bunch of stuff yesterday. And it was weird because it was like such a chunk of my life that I'd just been hanging on to and carrying around with me and like thinking, oh, I might use this someday. But now that I'm here and I'm like, I'm going to be staying here, I'm never going to use this stuff. I'm going to get rid of it. Finally, like I don't need my 29-gallon aquarium. I wanted to set up again, but not here. Again, it's just been good to help me really, really move forward and move on. You know, I feel like I'm home, finally. It's been a while. So I was diagnosed with adult ADD. So that has been pretty eye-opening for me. And then I've learned that's one of the reasons why I have piles of stuff everywhere and clutter and tend to be really overwhelmed and scattered. And I think a smaller space forces you to live more simply. And so I found for me personally, it's helped me to keep things tidier. If you have a pile of something and you clean it up and it takes you like 5 minutes just to clear out a little section, it's like instant gratification, even more so, because then it feels like this huge space. Like even moving a box out makes the space feel so much bigger. And so for someone like me, who you get that little dopamine hit, like, oh, it feels good, I got it done. Even though it's just like a little corner that you just cleaned up, but it's just motivating and it keeps things easier. When you have a chaotic brain, or a brain that just tends to be thinking a gazillion thoughts at once, being in a space that is simple and small, I don't know, it just, for me, it just kind of helps ground me. Maybe that would be the right word. It's more grounding.
Thank you for watching our video and for stopping by Tiny House Expedition. I'm Alexis.
And I'm Christian. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.
And for more tiny home tours and stories, click the videos below.
And join us on Instagram for bonus content,
including face-to-face conversations with us. We hope to see you there.
All right.
Thanks, guys.
Have a good one.